Hello, everybody.
Oh, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Oh my God.
It's so good to see you all again. Welcome back to The Devil's Due Season
I'm so excited.
2. Same. I'm very excited. I'm glad we're back to here. I let everyone know we're currently not on Foundry. It seems to be kind of loading back up, but we don't need to be on there for this, so it should be good. No need to worry about that. If you guys would like to do me a favor, if you're curious about things I'm showing on stream, go ahead and log into the stream itself. You're free to watch that while we're kind of like doing everything, if you would like, just to see what's going on. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because of this map that we're at. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up is I'm so excited for this. Season 2 of The Devil's Due is going to be completely custom made. So, like, you know, when it comes to like NPCs and like NPC art and creature art and maps and everything like that, it's all being made in-house now with IO Publishing. So I'm very excited for that. And
Prove it.
I point to the screen. I'm pointing to the fucking screen right now. The maps made before was just something I made. I was using Tom Cardis's assets, which were great, good stuff. But now that we have our own like in-house map maker and everything like that, it's been really good. We've been able to get some really good stuff and content made. We've also updated all of the old maps to this new art style with Jupe Fed, who is our IO Publishing map maker. And for our audience members, what this means is we can distribute these maps to you guys. So if you want to play in the world of The Devil's Due, you would just join our Patreon, get access to these maps, which will also be part of our Foundry VTT module that's got a year's worth of content now. So yeah. So visually, everything's gonna be looking pretty spiffy, and I'm pretty excited about that. What's up, Tomato? You got a thought? You got an opinion?
I'm curious about some things, yes. Are we going to get some kind of like exciting like Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin kind of changes to Zone 1? Are we going to find an onion man like in his onion armor around a corner that's now going to be talking to us in a different way because obviously everything's been changed? We have to change everything, right?
Yeah.
Any new little creatures hiding in the corners, or is this just kind of like a graphical face?
Listen. The new maps are there specifically, so okay. I do need to thank. I usually don't do. I don't usually do sub thanks in the middle of stream, but someone did gift 200 subs, which is an insane amount of subscriptions. So thank you very much for that. If you got gifted a sub by Beat and Schroeder, please make sure you thank them in chat. That's incredibly generous and highly unnecessary, but thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. To answer...
Hey, man, thanks for the gifted sub.
Yeah.
Hey, where's mine? Where
the fuck? What the? Don't do that. Don't do that.
mine?
We yell chat all the time for that. Like, oh, missed me. You missed me. Smiles, looks up.
Wow, dodging like a pro, Smiles.
So, ultimate...
changing the subject. Yeah, answer my question.
Sorry. I'm trying to answer. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Thank you.
To answer Tomato's question, returning back to the business at hand. What do you want? Do you want to go back to the previous maps, kind of see how they've changed and find a plethora of new content along the way and something more familiar? Or are you more interested in pushing the fuck on and continuing? Because both are valid answers.
Cuss in there makes it feel like I'm supposed to pick the second one. That's all I'm gonna say. Guys, did you all hear the fucking tone on the DM there? Do you want to double back and retread the old paths, or do you want to fucking move on?
You want to fucking get over it? Yeah.
Do you guys all hear that?
No, I'm sorry. I'll rephrase that.
I guess I want to move on, man.
All right. Okay,
I guess we'll push on.
Do you
the dungeon?
want to fucking revisit some content, or do you just want to move on from the story? Like, what do you want to do? See, now, is that good? Does that kind of balance out
I think above board. I'm a bit of a column A, column B. There's a kind of a nice energy to sometimes just being like, let's take a minute.
Yeah.
Let's walk it back and do a little bit of spelunking past the old tunnels again.
Yeah.
See if Gar somehow came back. That kind of shit.
Yeah.
It helps you remember where you came from.
Yeah. Well, yes, you will absolutely be able to do that, like 100%. You'll especially considering the fact that we've remade all of the maps inside the dungeons. So if you want to return back to the ruins or that temple or even the mines and just kind of see what the hell has kind of like gone and changed, kind of almost not necessarily like a new game plus or anything like that, but there will definitely be some content, some additional content in these areas that you would be able to explore. Especially as you continue to advance through the story, there may come moments where you're like, what if we it might be like session 5 or session 10. You're like, hey, I want to go back to those mines to see if there's anything we missed. And you may see that the mines are still active, but now with a different force. If you absolutely would love to like explore and go through that, like absolutely can do that. Absolutely can do that. So completely up to you. Once again, BNN Schroeder, thank you for another 200 gifted subs. Again, please do not feel the need to do that. That is incredibly kind and so many fucking subscriptions. That is unnecessary. But thank you again for your kindness. If you guys got gifted a sub by them, be sure to think of it, chat. Yeah, so the options are there and you absolutely are able to like see the stories build out. I mean, honestly, Devil's Due has the ability and the sort of like combination to to kind of like return back to these zones, learn a bit more about like the story and how everything's fleshed out. So it really just depends on your style and how you want to play it. I think one of the cool things that we're definitely going to talk about, you guys are going to notice, especially with some of your class changes, is that there are a lot of choices that you guys can take, not only with the direction that you want to take the campaign, but also how you want to flesh your characters out. Now, for those that don't like choices, there are going to be like default options and things like that. But for those that are looking for a little bit of a sort of like a little bit of a meaty, like I kind of want to build my class a specific way, you guys are going to have the options for that. So,
okay.
Yeah, so it's there's some cool shit happening. I'm super excited for this season. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy what we fucking got cooking. So, does that answer your question, Tomato?
Yes, I suppose it does, Brett. I suppose it does.
Very good. Very good. Anyone else got any like immediate questions before I get into the meat and potatoes of some of the changes you guys are gonna be seeing with your classes and the game itself? Because there are definitely some significant changes that are gonna, I think, make things really interesting this season.
Yes. So as far as like the map changes go, and going back to places we were before, what if we wanted to get a really, really long rope or tie lots of ropes together and go down into the pit where the dragon fell to and follow it?
Secret boss fight? Secret end game boss fight?
I mean, what if there's a whole nother network of caves down there?
I mean, look, if you want to do that, the key thing that's really important is just letting me know before the next session. Like, if you're like, hey, I think, because usually what we're going to be doing is like, what I've been doing more is just like, hey, what's your plan for next session? You're like, I want to advance the cave, or I want to revisit the temple, or I want to do this. If you tell me, hey, this giant ass pit where the wyvern fucking fell, I kind of want to see what's down there. Like, if that's what you want to do, hit me up and we will do it. Like, that is absolutely something that we can do. 100%.
I mean, hey, in real life right here, that sounds so lovely. In character, there's no amount of money you could pay Carver to get him down there. So I got news for the group. We're not going down there. All right? We as a collective aren't going down there, is what I mean.
But also, we didn't get the loot from the dragon, which dragon loot, pretty expensive. And
was it a dragon? You guys are remembering it different. Like it was kind of like a nasty wyvern. It was like a ratty kind of like fucking nasty.
Bro, money is money, and you need a lot of it right now.
you're totally misremembering. He didn't even get away alive. We just killed a dragon at level 3. You know, you're just wrong.
It was. I remember what happened. I
remember he looked kind of silly. He was not the brave, mighty, noble dragon a lot of you being describing.
First of all,
he landed. He was like 4 squares wide or something.
He was like, we thought he'd be big. He was a 2x2, and we blasted him with we hosed him down. He fell in a hole. God. That's all that happened.
He slunk away like a wet cat.
I'm gonna be real with you. We could have started season 2 at the end of October, but after the fucking wyvern bullshit that you guys pulled, I was like, I need a moment. I need a second, because I know the moment we get back, it's just gonna all come flooding back about just how his little smallet dragon wyvern that didn't do jack shit. I knew it was all gonna come back, and somehow I was gonna be dragged through the mud about it. I lost so much sleep.
Doesn't matter how much time passes. You know,
we're getting it all out of the way early, though. You know, this definitely won't come up again.
I was sitting on the curb outside my house before today's session. I went to Masae. I was like, they're gonna just bring it up again, and I'm gonna fucking cry live on stream, brother. It's gonna fucking be the saddest thing ever. And sure enough, I really do appreciate that Tomato brought up a different topic before we just jumped into the wyvern in the room. So, yeah. Needless to say, wyverns are not. I mean, they are dragon. They are definitely of the creature variety of a dragon. But they're little silly guys. I'm gonna be real with you. They're silly fucking little guy. They don't even got hands. They got big wings. They got little squat feet, and they got a little like a scorpion stinger, and that is what a wyvern is. So I mean, I know you guys are pretty excited that you like one-shot a dragon, but I mean, you didn't really. They really didn't do that.
All right, man. Yeah, okay, man.
Yeah, I mean...
let me diminish your guys' victory a little bit to make myself feel better. Let me diminish it a little bit.
They lost to water, for God's sake. I mean, do you really want that to be your fucking story when you go back to town and be like, yeah, we killed a dragon? How?
Yeah, man. Div's divine water purified the lands and the mines beneath. Mm-hmm. I can spin anything, baby.
Yeah, okay, good. Absolute great. So anyways, moving on from this painful topic, because I don't want to fucking talk about it anymore. Yes! If you want to go into the pit, you absolutely can. Sounds like that's a no-go on Carver's end, but if that does... Yeah, if that does change, let me know. I'll be more... Yeah.
Like, God play true to your characters, you know, and then you're never getting him down there. You'll have to actually fucking, like, tie him up, tie him, carry him down over your goddamn shoulder while he screams.
He's gonna be kicking, yeah.
It's like the old A-Team stuff where they had to, like, drug Mr. T to get him to go on planes because he was afraid of heights. It's the same thing.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that. Sick. Okay. So... Yeah, but yes, there is a path going forward. You guys are free to go back to explore other things if you ever want to like see what's up. If you also do have a rotting head that seems to like tear open some densely condensed like rubble and shit like that. So like if there are other areas you wish to check out, feel free to let me know and we will flesh out the dungeon accordingly. It doesn't have to just be one path. So, and yeah, I think that is something we can achieve, which is fucking phenomenal, honestly. Okay, let me go ahead and bust out my notes, and we're gonna go ahead and get started with the little topic. Is there any? First of all, before I get into the session 0, like class stuff, were there any particular topics that you guys wanted to sort of like really focus on first? Okay, great. So I can just start shooting from the hip. Awesome.
Yes, I believe in this case, considering everyone else's silence, I'm speaking for the class.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No. Class president.
Look, I very class president. I speak for the
Carver
class.
For class president?
No. Yeah, Look, hey, it's just every once in a while you'll be like, hey, do you want to like go? You know, is there something you want to go? I give it like a solid beat of silence, and then I just move on. Because sometimes so many of my players I know I probably got some players here doing right now gamer pose, sitting back in their chair, just completely relaxed. And I want you guys to be, comfortable. Get yourself a blanket, wrap yourself up like a little blanket burrito, and get yourself cozy as I.
No shot. You're not gonna catch me slipping. No way.
There will never be a time where Tomato
No
will be
way.
like, what? Huh? Hold on, let me get back up. We have infamously gamer posed players that I have to be like, up to the mic, please. A little closer. A little closer. Thank you very much.
What was that?
Yeah. Fucking Tomato runs back to like a little bed he's got in his office for mid-afternoon nappies. It's like, yeah, just let me know what's going on.
I'm gonna be back here eating pretzels.
Tag me in whenever, Coach.
All right, well, I'm gonna tap him right now because we're going over blood letter changes. Who's ready? Who's ready? Ready for that?
Me.
Yeah, that's right. Come on down. We're going over blood letter changes first because all the classes are in alphabetical order, and B for blood letter is the first one. So absolutely. So after season 1 of Blood Letter, I've discovered that the class really didn't have too much of an identity. That was kind of doing a little bit of everything. It was kind of a wacky little martial class, and it was fine, but I really didn't think it had the identity that it was supposed to have. So the Blood Letter has received probably the biggest rework out of all of the classes. All the other classes got to keep their identity, and Blood Letter had to change completely to kind of try something new, I felt like. So so the first key thing is that Blood Letter is no longer a half-caster. It is a pure martial class. So you are going all in on being a martial, being a melee guy. And there's been a couple of things that we've also changed as far as action economy goes for all the classes that I think you all are really going to appreciate. A lot of things that we kind of had to rely on concentration's been removed from, allowing you all to do sort of like multiple things as well, which is pretty good. One of the big things with Blood Letter is we've actually made a bleeding, like a proper bleeding condition now, and which has its own mechanics, and I think will work out very well. It's been calculated into like damage calculations for classes. And there's been a lot of just great options there. So we're gonna dive straight in with that. So Blood Letter at level 1 now has bleed attack just right off the bat. And it's very simple. Whenever you take the attack action and deal damage with a slashing or piercing weapon, you can choose to inflict the bleeding condition, so long as the creature is not a construct and not a spectral creature. So spectral means that they've got no body. They've got no form. Ghosts. Exactly. So your bleeding condition increases in stacks as you level up. So the bleeding condition is now a new type of condition called stacked conditions. Which means depending on the number of stacks it has is what the effect will do. And for bleeding, it's very simple. Depending on how many stacks the creature has, they get dealt necrotic damage let me check here. I believe at the end of their turn. So at the end of their turn, I believe it's the beginning of their turn. So at the beginning of a creature's turn, if they've got any bleeding stacks on them, depending on the number of stacks they have, they're just dealt necrotic damage. So if they have 3 bleeding stacks, which is what you start with, they just get dealt 3 points of damage, essentially, and it deals necrotic damage. If a creature is immune to necrotic damage for whatever reason, it just means they can't bleed. And you'd be able to learn that pretty quickly after your bleeding doesn't work on them. So the next part about it is at the end of a creature's turn, they have one of their bleeding stacks reduced. So if they have 3 bleeding stacks, it gets reduced down to 2 bleeding stacks. At the end of the turn, it gets reduced down to 1 bleeding stack. And if they have no bleeding stacks left, the condition completely ends. A creature who gets healed can also reduce their healing to remove bleeding stacks, effectively letting the healing kind of close up the wound, but also act as a little bit of like a healing sponge, as it were, so that bleeding can sort of take away from that if a creature decides to kind of like remove their bleeding, remove the bleeding condition off of them. So, hand in hand with bleeding, there is another condition called deep bleeding. A creature can't be bleeding and deep bleeding at the same time. So if you inflict something that inflicts deep bleeding, and they have bleeding stacks, that bleeding turns into deep bleeding. And the only difference between bleeding and deep bleeding is for deep bleeding, they don't remove a stack at the end of the turn. So if it's 3 deep bleeding stacks, at the beginning of the turn, they take 3 necrotic damage. At the end of their turn, they do not drop one of the stacks. So it just kind of continues on at that point. Bleeding stacks kind of works like temporary hit points. So you don't add... So if you have if you inflict 3 bleeding stacks and you attack again, their bleeding stacks isn't increased to 6. It just remains at 3. However, if a creature has, let's say, 2 bleeding stacks or 1 bleeding stack, and you inflict them with an ability that would inflict 3 bleeding stacks, it overrides that. So the 2 returns back up to a 3, which means if you're continuously attacking a creature with bleeding, you can keep it up there. As a bloodletter at level 3, your attacks increase to 5 bleeding stacks. So you go from doing like 3 bleeding stacks whenever you hit to 5 bleeding stacks. One of the big improvements here is during season 1, this was originally a bonus action. Now it is just part of your attack. You do not have to spend additional action economy to inflict bleeding. It is just baked in to your attack. Now, I do want to jump ahead a little bit because one of the key things we were bumping into in season 1 is what about constructs? And there's kind of a lot of constructs in this dungeon. At level 3, you get an alternative bleed ability called Ruin Attack. So essentially what this does is it inflicts bleeding onto constructs, but you have to use a bludgeoning weapon to do that. So now you've got a little bit of an arsenal on you where you might be swapping to a bludgeoning weapon to start breaking apart that. In addition to that, you would be dealing, the bleeding would be dealing force damage to the construct, not necrotic damage. There's a lot of constructs will typically have sort of like a necrotic resistance anyways because they don't bleed. You're essentially using your attack to slowly chip away and break apart and ruin the foundation. The Bloodletter's class ability is all about defilement. So it's about, tearing apart the humanoid vessel, the body itself, and also just going into like places of like historical areas, places of ruin, and just tearing it all the fuck down. I mean, the Bloodletter essentially is all about destruction and destroying those around them. So does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, and one thing I didn't add on this is in IO5e, your classes are going to have alternative routes and options to achieve things that you wouldn't normally be able to do. So, for example, going back to bleed attack, I mentioned that you can't use bleed attack on constructs and spectral creatures because you can't cause them to bleed. Well, now at level 3, you have the alternative of hey, I'm going to use a bludgeoning weapon against this construct to inflict bleeding, which is ruin, and start doing damage. But also, if you were, for example, to bless a weapon with holy water, which is something that the Disciple of Radiance can create, now your weapons can target and inflict bleeding on spectral creatures. So you never have to worry about being oh, there's just no way to do this ever. There will always be a solution. It just may take a couple of extra steps to get there. So,
okay.
Yeah. So with that, that's the core. That's your core ability is bleeding and inflicting bleeding and doing that. The next core ability at level 2 that all classes get is their style. What this means is you get to choose between a couple of class features that you want to do depending on the kind of class you want to build. The Bloodletter, for example, chooses between one of 2 options. Bloodshed, which is more the offensive route, makes it so that, and this is an action that has no resource. What this means is this isn't you can only do this 3 times per day. No, you can always do this. This is just a new option that you can do as an action if you don't want to replace like your attacks, you can use this as an action. So bloodshed essentially is you make one attack, but that attack now has +5 reach, which means your longsword with 5 reach, if you did bloodshed as an action, it's now a 10 reach. If you've got a spear that has 10 reach and use bloodshed, now it has 15 reach. So you could really reach out there. On hit, it deals 1d8 plus your constitution modifier in your weapon's damage. So pretty basic attack that just increases reach. The thing is, bloodshed is a combo ability. It's meant to combine with other things that you're doing. So if you do bloodshed against a target and they're not bleeding, it just does 1d8 plus constitution modifier and hit with a little bit of an increased range. If the creature is bleeding, the target will take an additional 1d8 weapon damage. And if the attack would inflict bleeding condition like your bleed attack, now it's turned it into deep bleeding. So you kind of see where the combo is at that point in time, where you're like, okay, I'm going to attack. Got him bleeding on this turn. Next turn, you go, okay, I'm going to do bloodshed. I'm going to try and hit with that. You're dealing extra damage than from your regular attack. And now you're locking in the bleeding to deep bleeding so that you don't have to worry about that dropping off. So that's if you go the offensive route. If you wish to go the more defensive or tank route, you can do Blood Barrier, where as a bonus action, you get 1d4 temporary HP. No resources, nothing to worry about to spend. You just go, at bonus action, 1d4 temporary HP. If you manage to get a creature bleeding within 30 feet of you, that becomes 2d4 temporary HP, which means causing bleeding and then using this bonus action will allow you to have more temporary HP, essentially. Very good for when you want to tank and soak damage. So already you can tell between the two Bloodletter styles, you kind of have to figure out, like, how do I want to play my character? Do I want to be DPS? Do I want to be dealing damage? Or do I kind of want to take a little bit more of the tanky route, essentially, and kind of do that? And those are your options. Here's the cool thing. Here's also another cool thing about this. There are... when you level up, you can swap these around easy if you want to. But as we'll go later on, there are ways to now research things or sort of quote unquote respec things in the middle of a level. So you don't have to be like, hey, this doesn't work. I kind of want to do more of a tanky route. There are routes that you can take so that you don't have to be locked in with your decision all level and kind of build the class that you want, essentially. Also at level 3, this is something that every class gets, and that is called a technique. Think of a technique as you would a feat in 5e, but instead of, hey, I got ability score improvement, instead of ability score improvement, I'm going to take a feat, you just get one. You just get a mini feat of your choice. And there are 3 types of techniques: magic techniques, martial techniques, and general techniques. So for Bloodletter, since you're a martial class, you choose a martial technique. And if you go down to martial techniques, plenty of options that build for you. For example, you can choose Blind Fighter, where you can, don't get disadvantaged attack rolls if you're blinded. You can choose Cleave. Hedge is a good one if you want to give yourself a little bit of AC while wielding a two-handed weapon. There's also an improved Bleed, if you want to go full in on Bleed, that allows you to add additional stacks equal to your proficiency bonus. So now your 5 becomes a 7, your 3 becomes a 5, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, and it continues to improve there. So you do have plenty of options. Now, one of the techniques that I do want to point out to everyone, and this is one of the big changes we're doing for Season 2, one of the techniques is opportunity attack. And that is because, by default, no one has the ability to do an opportunity attack anymore, creatures included. So for this, there's going to be a little bit more battlefield control, or a little bit more battlefield open, allowing people to kind of like move around a little bit and strategize where they want to go without having the fear of like, I'm 5 feet away from a creature, they may hit me with an attack. Some creatures can do opportunity attacks still, and those are the ones that, but now everyone can't do an opportunity attack. If you choose opportunity attack or some other techniques, one of the things we'll be going into a little bit is about research. some of these techniques that you'll be able to choose, you will actually be able to level up through your adventure. So for example, if you choose opportunity attack, you may decide to research the extra feature of opportunity attack, allowing you to do opportunity attacks twice per round instead of one. Or you can choose it so that you can open up your opportunity attack a little bit. So for example, if you choose the threaten feature to train in opportunity attack, now you can make opportunity attacks when a creature enters your reach, not just leaves it. You kind of really have the ability to sort of like build out what you'd like to do and what you'd want to do. So it just kind of provides those options for you. There's also a martial technique if you want to be the taunter or the tank simply called taunt, which makes it so that, hey, it kind of like the spirit barbarian, where like, hey, if you attack anyone else, it's at disadvantage. You can only attack me, essentially. Okay. But yes, and there's some people asking like or stating in chat now, being like, oh, you know, Brett's trying to avoid like Sentinel shenanigans. No. Sentinel shenanigans still can exist. It's just now something you have to sort of like build towards. It's definitely not something I want to take away, but it is something that I want you to kind of like structure yourself towards. You know what I mean? I think that's the big thing right there, is doing that. So yeah. It's ultimately at the end, it's as long as we're finding a fun way to do it, it'll be really good. Okie dokie. So yeah, you get to choose techniques. You get a technique at level 3 and at level 8. So you'll actually be able to do more, be able to choose those and do those options. Also, another big thing for everyone, this is a 10 level system, which means end level for at least this iteration is 10th level. So there won't be 11th level or 12th level. We won't be going all the way up to 20th level. Everything is built up to 10th level. Until I can structure, I can feel more confident about building outside 10th level, like 11th level to 20th level, this system is going to remain a 10 level system that's compatible with 5e. Okay. So we went over essentially levels 1 through 3 for you. Level 4 is ability score improvement, just like before. You're able to increase your ability scores the way that you'd like to do that. And now we have the Bloodletter Finisher. So, the Bloodletter Mastery. So this is kind of like a stronger version of your style where you, again, kind of get to choose an option. But what's also good about Mastery is you can go back to your style and choose the secondary one. So if you want to go all in and focus on a direction, you could do that with your Mastery. But if you kind of want to be a little more jack of all trades and be like, hey, I kind of want to bloodshed and also have access to Blood Barrier, you can use your Mastery to pick that other side that you may have sort of missed out on. You know what I mean? If you want to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
For Bloodletter Mastery, however, your options are Hemorrhage, which is an action, Blood Thinner as an action, or Blood Link, which is any action. So a new mechanic as well in IO5e is some of your abilities have a descriptor called any action. What this means is you can use an action to do this or a bonus action to do this. Or you could use both. There are some instances where you're like, hey, I'm gonna use my action to use this ability and then use my bonus action to also use this ability, but like on a different creature or whatever, essentially, if you really want to like go all in, kind of giving you the options for that. So for Hemorrhage, this is if you want to go all in on DPS and bleed build. Make a melee weapon attack on hit, deal 1d10 plus Constitution modifier and weapons damage, and the target gains resistance to healing until the end of their next turn, meaning any HP they heal is reduced by half. And then this increases to 2d10 at level 5. If your target has the bleeding condition before this attack, the target, it deals an additional 1d6 plus whatever amount of bleeding stacks the creature had, but it removes the bleeding condition completely at that point. Now, if your target has the deep bleeding condition, it now deals an additional 1d10 plus the number of deep bleeding stacks the creature has, and now the deep bleeding becomes bleeding. So you kind of see the combo that's happening here.
Yes.
You attack, You go bloodshed to get the deep bleeding. You go hemorrhage to revert that back to bleeding, but now you're dealing even more. You're now doing 2d10 plus an additional bonus. So there's all these like combos you can kind of build up to if you somehow manage to like lock yourself into like a certain round of actions. Another mastery you can choose is Blood Thinner. You make a weapon attack. It deals 1d6 plus Constitution modifier and weapon damage. And instead, if your target has bleeding or deep bleeding condition, you get to add your bleeding stacks onto the stacks of that creature with the Blood Thinner attack, which means if you want to play dot build, right? If you want to do dot build, and you do 5 bleeding stacks, and the creature goes on their turn, they lose 1, they take 5 necrotic damage, it drops down to 4 the next turn, and you do Blood Thinner, instead of the 5 overriding the 4, the 5 adds on to the 4, giving you a DPS build if you want to kind of like go that route. And now it's like, okay, now it's like 9 damage if you want to do that, and that's your action. You're kind of like taking away from the front damage and kind of adding it to the dot and kind of like letting that build out a little bit if you want to go ahead and do that. So, and then finally Blood Link, which is more of your defensive ability. Select a creature with bleeding or deep bleeding condition of your choice within 60 feet. That creature has the link condition. While the creature is linked this way, whenever you would take damage and a link creature is within 60 feet of you, you can spend your reaction to remove 1 bleeding stack from that target and then reduce the incoming damage you take by 1d6. The linked creature takes that damage reduced to necrotic damage. So essentially you're reducing their blood stacks, you're reducing damage incoming to you, and you're dealing damage to them with that exchange as a reaction.
Interesting.
So yeah, you do have, again, you have options, and you kind of have to think like, what technique will kind of mix with my masteries and my styles and really figure that out. And then finally, level 5, you guys are level 4 currently. Level 5 is when everyone is going to pick their specialization. And I've talked to you all about it. And it sounds like you all have selected your specializations, and we will go more into that when you level up. I know what everyone is specializing into. If you guys decide to change that a little bit, feel free to let me know. But yeah, that is your class. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I mean, this all looks good to me. I like the changes a lot. I think getting rid of the spell casting was a good idea. Honestly, it just does streamline it a lot more, and a lot of the flavoring for what I like, everything I did with Carver. I never really even talked about casting spells because that wasn't really the goal of the character. So having that stuff gone works for me. Yeah,
it really felt identity-wise we needed to get rid of the spell casting and really go all in on like specialized martial abilities that focus, that kind of like focus into that. And so that definitely was the direction, and we'll see how it does. As far as like number crunching is concerned, you should see a bit of a damage increase, which will be nice.
Okay.
So yeah.
Welcome for little old Carver.
A little welcome for
Though none
Carver.
of it matters because Carver still can't fucking connect a single swing to save his life. And no amount of reworks on my character will change my luck.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. Crowned. Hello. Your class has also received a slight bit of a facelift. But kind of, again, giving you a little bit more options as like what kind of Disciple of Radiance that you want to be. So before we go into your class, I want to talk to the spellcasters because we do have a lot of spellcasters in the party.
I'll just go fuck myself.
Yeah. Just if you
go take a lap. Brother.
I used to be part of this club, and then Brett took that from me, which I frankly think was bullshit. By the way, I lied before. I think that's bullshit.
Now that I'm like, all right, everyone, spellcasters.
Give me like one cantrip. Give me like fucking thaumaturgy or something. Something.
I'll consider it.
I'll just get out of here. You guys have fun.
I look at everyone. I shake my head slowly. Poor guy.
What of this guy?
So, one of the key things I wanted to do for season 2 is establish a magic identity for IO5e, because right now it was fine. It felt good, and I liked the custom spells that we had, but it did feel like sort of just branded D&D. So I wanted to give IO and IO5e its own custom spell identity. And with that, I introduced to all of you Elementalism. So this, instead of the sort of like D&D kind of like, it kind of like already gone into, what was I about to say? Instead of being like, oh, illusion magic, oh, conjuration, oh, blah, 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 that we're tossing all that out. All of it, everything, all the spells are now linked to elements and elementalism. And the way that works now is by gaining knowledge of an element. When you have knowledge of an element and you learn spells, you learn directly from the elements that you have knowledge of. So, for example, Disciple, your knowledge is Radiance. So, because of that, you are a Radiant Disciple. You cast from the Radiant School of Magic, and you have class features that kind of build around the School of Radiance. If you decided I want to be a Disciple of Fire, or if I wanted to be a Disciple of Void, that your class sort of changes around because of that. But you're a Disciple of the Radiant, of Radiance, which is one of the elements. There are 6 core elements. And stop me if you've heard it before. Fire, water, wind, earth, radiance, and void. What's cool about this is if you have knowledge of multiple elements, that may give you access to other schools of magic that you can learn spells from as well. So, for example, if you have knowledge of fire and knowledge of wind, you will have access to the lightning element of spells. If you have knowledge of radiance and also gain knowledge of earth magic, you will gain access to the Feywonder class of magic, which is very like, Fey-ish, Fey-like sort of types of spells. If you have knowledge of wind and knowledge of void, you will have access to shadow, like the shadow veil magic. If you have knowledge of fire and knowledge of void, which is a direction Bubs can go into, by the way, you have knowledge of hellscape magic, like magic that would be infernal in nature that you would be able to learn from. And then if you go water and radiance, for example, you would have access to celestial magic, like actual divine beings and like angelic types of spells. And so the reason why I've and also for the audience and not for Tomato, but not so much Tomato, because he's going to be like, Jesus Christ. If you have knowledge of fire and knowledge of water elements, you have access to the vapor magic, which is, I will confirm, the School of Fog.
Oh, fuck off.
We have established Fog as its own identity in this in IO, and thus it has received its own school of magic, I'm afraid. So to get access to Fog, you will need knowledge of both fire and water elements. But yeah, so the idea with all of this is to give elementalism its own identity, and you kind of get to the schools of magic that you learn really are based more off of your knowledge of particular elements instead of the class that you have. And magic schools, especially with magic techniques, allow you to gain knowledge of different elements. So if you wanted, as a spellcaster, to use your magic technique at level 3 to learn, for example, radiant magic, you can and now have access to radiant spells, including healing magic, which is under the radiant tree. There's also different healing options under the water tree. So you really get to hammer out and choose your identity, and your magic itself will kind of have its own identity. Also new to spellcasters that everyone has access to is a little thing we call cantrip craft. you will have the ability to create your own cantrips to help build into your magic and class identity. So essentially, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7 types of cantrip bases that will change, that not change so much, but that all that is looking for is the element. So for example, a key issue, not key issue, but a key ability I can see Eddard. Eddard, as a disciple of Radiance, as a Radiant disciple, already has knowledge of the Radiant element. Also has access to cantrips, which means they can cantrip craft. If you want to do a Radiant blade, for example, you would choose the blade under cantrip craft, and you would use Radiant as the element, and you would make Radiant blade, which essentially is a melee spell attack. It deals 1d8 of your of radiant damage if you have one free hand. So you can have a shield, and you could also cast Radiant Blade to do that, to kind of like go in and attack like that. Another thing we're changing in IO5e, there are no more focuses. So focuses are out the window. You no longer are required to have a focus to cast a spell. You cast a spell from within, and you will typically need a hand or both hands free to do that. So this allows you to do things like, hey, I want to wield a shield in my hand. You can now just do that. And then you would only cast spells that only require one hand. Because, for example, another cantrip base is Hammer. And that is, the best way I could describe it is, do you remember that giant hammer that, what's-his-face conjures in Elden Ring?
Yes.
That's what this is. So if you want to do Radiant Hammer, for example, you need both hands free to conjure the Radiant Hammer and then make a melee spell attack that deals 2d6 of the element's damage. If you want a melee attack with reach, you could do a Radiant Whip, allowing you to conjure a whip of that element to make a reach 10 attack that deals 1d6. And then there are others: Splash, Spray, Bolt, Burst. If you kind of want to do like a little AoE burst, or if you want to throw a sphere and have it explode of that element at a place that you want, you kind of have the freedom to create your own cantrips. Now, there are still going to be cantrips that you can select if you don't want to do that, but you do have the option to, again, kind of build a little bit of your identity based off of the cantrips that you want to create. And then if you want to take a look at the spells, these are kind of the equivalent ideas of like some of the spell ideas that we're going to have. I will be developing more spells next week, so you guys will be able to pick the spells that you want. I'll be looking at some of the older spells, seeing what we're going to keep, what we're not going to keep, all that stuff. But yeah, it's now Elementalism. Spellcasters, how are we feeling about that? Does that sound interesting and fun to you guys?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Very good. Very good. What's up? What's up, Eddard? What's up? What's up, crowd?
Oh, God damn, man. Give me a second to think. Give me a second to ponder.
Oh, sorry. Usually when someone
I bite your head off. I bite your head off. How about that?
No, I'm sorry. No, usually when someone's like, it's like, I have a thought, but I don't know how to say it.
Can I have multiple elementalisms?
Yes. When you get to magic technique, there are various magic techniques that you can get, but one of the magic techniques is choosing another element that you can fucking learn magic from. And once you have knowledge of that element, you immediately have access to that element's class. And if there are elements that combine with the element that you already have knowledge of, you also have access to that. So, for example, you already have knowledge of Radiance. And then at level 3, you choose your magic technique, and you go, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do elemental study. That will give you the ability to select another school of magic that you know, or another element that you know. And if you go, I'd like to learn water. Well, now that you have knowledge of water and radiant, you also get access to the water schools of magic and the celestial schools of magic. If you wanted to like combo, like build into those combos.
Okay.
Or if you're like, I'd like to learn the earth element. Okay, well now you have access to radiant, earth, and Fey wonder magic. If you want to be more Fey-like with your mysticism. So yeah, that's where that's at. Now, and then there's also an alternative thing with that with research, but we'll talk more about that later. So as a disciple, you have knowledge of the radiant spellcasting. I also want to let everyone know, drum roll please, we are getting rid of spell slots. They're gone now. No spell slots. We are a spell point system now, which means MP. You now have SP or MP, like in the old Final Fantasy days. And yeah, so if you want to cast a level 1 spell, it will cost 1 SP. If you want to cast a level 2 spell, it costs 2 SP. If you want to cast a 3rd level spell, 3 SP, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, it's going to be good. But also, what's very cool about this is there are techniques and abilities that you can learn to improve upon your spell point pool. There are also abilities that will that you might find later on that might reduce the cost of SP for certain spells. So it shall be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. All right.
Raise his hand. Has question.
Yes, ma'am.
For that change, at its like base when you're just starting out, can we still do hypothetically the same amount of spells that we could have done with the original spell slot system? Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes,
Wonderful.
Yeah. So as long as if you cast the same amount as you would as a class, it literally equates to the same thing. But now you will have the ability to like also
be more flexible with it.
Exactly.
And do more things with it in the future and get it better. Okay, very good.
Yes, but there are also some positive changes that we're gonna go into after we finish the classes. I got a lot of stuff for you guys that I think you guys are gonna dig. So, all right. So there are some adjustments that have been made to the Disciple of Radiance. We will start first with a Mark of Healing. It's been reduced in effectiveness a little bit. But it has no limit now, so you do not have to worry about resources and things like that. So Mark of Healing, you select a willing creature within 5 feet of you. For 1 minute, they have the rejuvenating condition. While rejuvenating, whenever you heal a creature, and if the rejuvenating creature is within 60 feet of you, they regain HP equal to your wisdom modifier. This effect is not considered healing. This condition ends if you use the Mark of Healing on another creature. So this is a little bit of a reduction in power because I did find like the full healing to be a bit much, but I also still wanted to toss I still wanted to toss something that effectively helped that. So I feel like this was a good middle ground where it doesn't heal as much.
He hates me,
but I also hate Crown, so it felt good to me.
He watched me heal like 40 hit points as Dell, and he said, "No, never again."
I did. That's exactly what happened. I'm okay. I've decided. I'm the bad guy. Hell yeah, dude. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Okay. So, next up is your Radiant Focus, where you get to pick one of 2 abilities. One is Improved Healing. Whenever you heal a creature, they heal additional HP equal to your proficiency bonus. So if you wanted to empower your healing, that would be the route to do. Or Barrier of Light, if you kind of want to go more of a support side of things. As an action, you can give a creature of your choice within 30 feet temporary HP equal to your level, plus your proficiency bonus, plus your wisdom modifier. So you kind of pick, do I want to be better with my heals, or do I want to spend an action to have them soak damage a little bit? Then that'll be the choice that you have. Level 3 is your magic technique. Choose a magic technique or a general technique. There are general techniques. So if there's a magic technique that doesn't work for you, but if you want to do a general technique, all the general techniques are new mechanics, like Death's Attunement when testing your resolve, focused research when making a research check, improve respite whenever you respite after combat. All mechanics we're going to be going over today, by the way. So, yeah. But also one of the general is Tactician, which I think is the better alert in my mind. Essentially, the Tactician technique gives you the ability to not only add your proficiency bonus to any one person's initiative count, but you can swap 2 willing creatures' initiatives. It doesn't have to be your own. You essentially can kind of form okay, I want this person going first. I want this person going and then you can go ahead and do that, kind of giving you more initiative control with that. So that's one of the many techniques, absolutely. And then finally, Disciple Mastery, which is a lot of abilities that you can select from. Choose one of the following. We've got Spell Pool, which increases your spell points by 5. So if you're like, I want more casty resource, you can just pick that. Panacea is effectively you have access to lesser restoration, equal to that you can use a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus as a bonus action. So if you really want to go support and purge some conditions, Panacea is the way to go. Improved Mark of Healing. You can now add your proficiency bonus to the amount healed by the amount regains by Mark of Healing. So instead of just Wisdom, you would add Wisdom plus your proficiency bonus to the healing that happens to the other person. You can also use your Disciple Mastery to get the other focus. So if you're like, I want improved healing and Barrier of Light, you can use your mastery to do that as well. But there are also masteries that improve. So for example, Barrier Echo. Whenever you use your Barrier of Light ability, you also gain temporary HP equal to half the amount granted to the creature. So if you give someone 10 temporary HP, you also gain 5 temporary HP if that's what you want to do. Improved Healing, which is, oh yeah, that's right. If you can choose that one. And then Efficient Healing. Whenever you heal a creature, if you roll a 1 or 2 on any dice, it becomes a 3 instead. So you kind of choose what direction you want to go with that. And then, of course, level 5 is your specialization. And I believe, are you still locked in to Crusader of Light?
Have you already built Crusader of Light?
No. I haven't built any of them.
I was hoping you say yes, so I could be like, no, I changed my mind.
Oh, so you could really just, yeah, that's why I didn't do it. I point at you. It's you.
Yeah, of course I want to be. Of course I want to be the goddamn paladin. Of course I want to be the paladin.
What's really fucking funny is I think everyone so it's everyone's a fucking spellcaster except Carver, who's charging into the thick of it. But I think at level 5, 2 of you become melee. You're jumping in with Carver.
It's crazy because one of you has 10 AC, another has -2, and I don't know who it is that wants to get into melee.
Yeah,
but you're toast. I don't know what you're doing out there.
So
you gotta get some clothes on.
Yeah, so what's cool about the specializations is for the classes that are being selected, those classes will be getting more hit points once they choose that specialization. They will also receive automatically proficiency with higher armor so that they are able to go ahead and do that. But yeah, those will be fun. And what's cool about specializations is it builds upon the foundation of your base class, which I find fucking neat. So yeah, essentially the route that Carver's going is super barbarian. I can give a little preview of that. It's essentially super barbarian. So classes don't by default get extra attack. Instead, extra attack is sort of built into abilities. So for Carver, when he goes berserk, he gets access to extra attack and all sorts of other abilities. But we're also kind of stepping away from the 5e thing where it's just oh yeah, you just get stuff. It's Yeah, if you go berserk, you do all these things really well, but also some other stuff kind of like drops off a little bit because of the state that you're in. So, but it's definitely more beneficial than it. The pros definitely outweigh the cons, and really goes in on all that. So, okay. Yeah, you'll see all. I don't have all the spells out. I'm gonna be working on that this weekend and get access to you guys if you want for that. I know Eddar's going the Crusader route, which means he's getting a lot more hit points. He's getting access to AC, all that stuff. And yeah, so that is the. Do you have any questions, Crowned, about your class?
No, sir. Sounds great.
Okay, awesome. Naomi. So your class identity has remained the same, but how you do it has definitely changed a little bit, and I'm hoping it's changed for the better. It's more effective, as it were. So
we'll find out.
So yeah, we're gonna find out. So before you chose a hex, it was one of your spells. We had a favorite spell system. Sometimes you use the hex, it doesn't actually use it, blah, blah, blah. We've gotten rid of that. So your hexes are no longer spells that you have to learn. Instead, they are baked into your ability. In addition, you have access to all the hexes. You don't have to pick one anymore. So you have 3 hexes. We may build upon this later on, but your core 3 hexes are Faltering Hex, the creature's attack bonus is reduced by 1. Withering Hex, the creature's saving throw is reduced by 1. And Rendered Hex, the creature's AC is reduced by 1. And this bakes into your Hex Weave ability. So, as any action, as we see there, the any action side of things, select one of your hexes, and then you inflict the hex condition on a creature within 90 feet for 1 hour. While hexed this way, they suffer the effects of the hex that you have chosen. This condition ends if you are no longer within line of sight of the creature, or if you are dying. And that's a new condition, and we'll be talking more about that a little bit afterwards. So what has changed from this? Before, your hexes were concentration. They are no longer concentration. You just do it. No save, none of that. You just go, you have -1 to AC, and they have -1 to AC. And then that's that. And then you're like, I'm gonna use my bonus action. And what's cool about any action is you can now be like, I'm gonna give this creature -1 AC, and then as a bonus action, and then as an action, I'm gonna give this guy -1 attack because he's fucking doing. And you are able to do that. You are able to do that, to sort of like spread the hex around a little bit. Now, you have a new column called Hex Stacks. What does that mean? You can stack your hexes from levels 1 to 3. You have the maximum stack of 1, so you kind of choose, and that's that. But at level 4, so essentially starting right now, you can give them an additional hex, and that hex can be the same hex. So now, instead of being like, all right, this creature gets -1 to AC, and this creature gets -1 to attack bonuses, you can go, as a bonus action, I'm giving you -1 to AC, and as an action, I'm giving you an additional -1 to AC. Now you've got -2 to AC, you son of a bitch. So you essentially now have the ability to kind of quote-unquote create your own hexes, because you can be like, you have -1 to AC and -1 to attack, because I kind of want to like break it down a little bit. You know what I mean? You kind of have more options of like what you want to do. You don't have to work with a spell slot anymore, and yeah, you just kind of go with it. So that's your big change. That's the big change we've done with your hexes. So, does that make sense to you? Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. And then the class that you picked, Hexblade, for your specialization, is going to make you a melee attacker. But what's cool about it is your hexes will be baked into your attacks, which means, did you hit with that? Excellent. You get to immediately inflict them with one of your hexes. So that's the key. That's the cool thing about Hexblade, is you still get to be like a debuffer melee attacker. You kind of get to work on that. So that'll be fun.
With my -2 AC, let's go.
I'm hoping you figure out the AC by the time you become a Hex Blade.
Yeah, we'll see.
Level 2 is Hex style. So originally we had Contagion and Infliction as both things that you could do. Now you have to kind of pick what direction that you want. Do I want to be a damage dealer with my hexes, or do I want to just spread mayhem as much as I can? So both of these have received buffs, but you don't get both of them anymore is the key thing. You get to choose. So with Contagion, as an action, you can inflict the hex condition up to 3 other creatures within 30 feet. So if you've got 4 people, one of them's hexed, you go Contagion as an action, they're within 30 feet, and now that spreads to 3 creatures of your choice. To really just like maximize the debuffs as far as you can. They have the same hexes as the hex condition that you're spreading. Or Infliction. As an action, each creature you can see within 120 feet that has the hexed condition must make a charisma saving throw. On failure, the target takes 1d12 void damage per hex stack, which means if you've got a creature with 2 hex stacks, that 1d12 becomes a 2d12.
Oh.
But now that you don't have Contagion, the spreading of the hexes is a lot slower. So you really have to determine, do I want to spread the hexes to as many creatures as possible, or do I want them to be more offensive so that I can weaponize that? So those are the options that you have. At level 3, you get to choose a magic technique. And at level 4 is your Hex Weave Mastery, which means if you want, you could choose one of the hex styles, and then at level 4, choose the other hex style. So if you still want to do Contagion and Infliction, you can do that through this. Your other options include Spell Pool if you want to increase your spell points, because you do have knowledge of the Void element as a Hex Weaver, which means you do get to create your own cantrips just as before, and you have access to the Void School. And the Void School is really fun. The Void School, we've got Void Pin, which kind of functions as like sort of like a voodoo-esque doll. Essentially what you do is you choose a creature, they make a charisma saving throw. If they fail, they take void damage and they become haunted. And while they're haunted, you can take a magic action to be like, and another 2d6 void damage to you while they're within 60 feet. So, and it's just literally this pin just kind of goes into them for like 1 minute. Yeah. And this is like, the void pin is a concentration. So there are concentration baked in spells, but the abilities that you had like kind of like baked in your class that had concentration no longer have concentration. So with your hexes, like I said before, you don't need a focus. So you can do void pin while maintaining your hexes. So your concentration slot is no longer locked in. You can do other shit now as well. So, which is, yeah. Deadly Hex, when you are hex weaving a creature, you can choose to inflict a number of hexes equal to the maximum number of hex stacks you inflict. So instead of being like, you know, when your hex is built up and you get 1 hex stack. With Deadly Hex, you go, you immediately start with the maximum amount of stacks. You just immediately, from right at the bat, you're like, you get this and this, like right there, boom. So, so that is an option that you could do, again, to like close the gap and get it really quickly. And then finally, Poisoned. As an action, you can remove the hex condition from a creature as long as they have 2 stacks. And then when you do that, you give them the poisoned condition. So essentially, you can replace your hexes on a creature and then immediately poison them. At the end of a creature's turn, they can then make Constitution saving throws versus your spell DC to end that condition. And a creature is immune to the poison, and then they become immune to the poison condition, so you don't continuously give them that. But that's sort of like a nice little addition that you can do to like build further into the hexes into a combo if you want to do that. So those are the options that you have. What do you think? Do you have any questions for me?
Sounds pretty cool. I do have some questions. How sensitive is the whole line of sight thing? Like if you duck behind a pillar for like a second, or if you move behind a pillar, because we've had some arenas with like things like that, is that just immediately poof gone? Or is it more like you leave the room?
If you end your turn, I'll clarify this. If you end your turn, or if the creature ends their turn out of your line of sight,
okay,
then that's where that becomes an issue.
Okay.
So this also kind of gives the creature a defense as well. So if they're like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, and they run around a corner to get away to end the hex, they can do that. But that cost includes, like getting out of the battlefield to do that, essentially. But no, if you're like ducking behind, like, let's say a cart, and you're like, I'm going to get half cover or 3/4 cover, then you're still poking your head out, which means you're not out of line of sight. But if you're like, I'm taking full cover behind this pillar, I'm ending my turn, well, now you're out of line of sight because you made the choice that I want full cover over maintaining my hexes.
Okay. And then also, can you change level 4 masteries like on level up or at some point in the future if you take one and you're like, Nyeh.
Yep.
Okay.
Go on.
On long rest or on level up or like
by default on level up, but there is a method that we will go over a little later if you want to replace it earlier.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. No, I think these changes are super cool. Oh, and there was like a widespread hex that allowed for a 10-foot cube that was just a passive that I got at level 2 or 3.
That's been
removed.
That
totally gone?
That's completely gone. And the reason why is now that your hex is effectively at any action.
Yeah.
This gives you the ability to, like, I want to spend my entire turn hexing 2 creatures.
Right.
But you don't have to do that. You can be like, I hex 1 creature and then I'm going to save this action for something else. It just gives you a little bit more freedom. So yeah, that is completely gone though.
Okay.
And the reaction to move hexes are still there.
Does Hex Drinker still exist?
Nope.
No. Okay. Are there any like at will abilities
to heal? No.
No. Any at will at all? Like infliction used to be an at will thing, not like an. Or no, wait. It was an action. Wait, never mind. Yep. So there's okay. Cool. Thank you. Very cool. Interesting changes. I like it.
Good. Awesome. Any other questions?
I might come up with more later, but not right now.
Okay. For someone was asking, I guess that would include getting blinded. Yes, if you're blinded, you're out of line of sight of everyone. So, yeah, your hexes are sort of that focused ire that you kind of like as you stare down a creature. But if you do end up getting blinded, that will shut the hex down. So you definitely want to either find some protection from blindness or, just be mindful if there are creatures inflicting the blinded condition for you. Absolutely.
Okay, what if I want to go like the creepy firekeeper lady route with like, like a mask and I can't see anything, but I can still hex people? Is there options for that?
I mean, you would need blind sight, essentially. You would need to be able to see while blinded to do that.
All right.
So yeah, the option's there. It's just not going to be readily available to you.
Right.
You're gonna wake up and be like, I've decided I want to see with my eyes closed now.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is Masae. Say already knows. Living together, I'm like, hey, this is your Invoker class. What do you think? And they were like, that's good. And I went,
give me.
Thank you very much. Ignore hexes and hex stacks on your table. Your table's like, I need to clean it up a little bit. I definitely want to make sure I got all the information to you guys. So yeah. So invokers at first level get to choose an element based off of the spirit that they conjure. And you are keeping with void. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So the difference is now you could be like, I want to do fire. And then you will have like a fire spirit. And you're like, I want to do water. And you have a water spirit. And that gives you access to the spells of casted. So Bubs will have access to void magic. And their spirit will be of void. Your spirit's mechanics have changed ever so slightly. And this essentially is to give you more options in combat. So the key thing with Invoke Spirit is now the Invoke Spirit's HP equals your HP. So if you have 10 HP, the Invoke Spirit has 10 HP. If you have 20 HP, they have 20 HP. If a Invoke Spirit perishes, you must spend 1 minute to bring it back, and you must spend spell points to bring it back as well. You can start them a little weak if you want to just do like, I'm going to pump 1 spell point. Well, now they only have 10 hit points, even though they could have had more. But if you want to spend as many, so every spell point you spend to reanimate your creature, your spirit, You get the creature has 10 hit points per spell point spent. But the HP can't exceed your maximum HP. Now, the 1 minute cast is very important here because after you've completed your rest, and we'll talk about resting mechanics as well. After you've completed your rest, right off the bat, you conjure your spirit without needing to spend anything. But if your spirit dies, drops to 0 HP and dies, you have to spend the resources to do it. And it's not something you can do in the middle of combat. So if your spirit dies in the middle of battle, Bubs is on his own until you guys get out of the combat, and then you can spend the minute to sort of like get the creature back up. That's right. That's the big thing. So absolutely. Your commanding of the spirit to attack is no longer an action. It is now a bonus action. The damage has been reduced because of it. It is now 1d6 of the elements that the spirit is comprised of, in damage as a bonus action. You could also command your spirit during your turn to move up to their movement speed. You could command them to carry an object. You can command them to dash, or you can use your bonus action to see through the eyes of the creature.
I love that.
Yes.
That's going to be fun.
This ability, essentially the reason why this is structured is I want the spirit to effectively be a supplement of your class. I know you're a summoner class, but I didn't want it to completely lock down what you're doing. So now your action opens up, which you could do for spell casting or, attacking with your own weapons if that is what you want to do. And yeah, also the AC change is now 10 plus your charisma modifier. So the higher your charisma modifier, the higher AC the creature has.
Great.
Okay. So with that, and as well, they have the amorphous trait, and they share your skill checks and share your saving throws. So if they have to make a saving throw, they use the same saving throw that you have when it comes to all that. And their speed is 30 feet. So they are immune to the element they are made of. And they also have condition immunities of charmed, exhaustion, frightened, and unconscious. So you don't have to worry about that so much. But same as before, they're weightless. They can't activate traps. They can't do all these things. They can only do like brief interactions and things like that. Invoker style. So you get to choose one of 3 options. Exploding burst as an action. Each creature in a 5-foot emanation from the spirit must make a dexterity saving throw. On failure, it deals damage equal to spirit attack, so 1d6. Spirit step as an action. While the spirit is next to a willing creature, the spirit grapples the creature as long as the creature's willing. And the creature and the spirit teleport 10 feet. So great way to like get out of dangerous situations or do that. Yeah. Defending spirit. Whenever a creature takes damage and is 5 feet away from the spirit, as a reaction, you can have the creature take half as much of the damage from that source. It reduces the damage the creature takes by half, but then whatever is reduced, the creature takes. So, and it's the same damage type. So, for example, if let's say someone takes fire damage, you've got a fire spirit. You can use a reaction to reduce that by half, and then that creature takes that damage as fire damage, but because they're immune to fire, they actually take no damage. So essentially it's a free damage soak if you want to like plan it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Level 3, choose a magic or general technique. And then level 4, you've got a lot of great options. You can choose one of the style abilities, but one of the others is spiritual weapon. As an action, while the spirit is 5 feet from a willing creature, it transforms a weapon the creature's wielding by going into the weapon itself. So essentially, it takes characteristics of whatever that spirit is. While transformed, the spirit can no longer be targeted, and any attacks made with that weapon deal an additional 1d6 damage with a damage type being that spirit. So if it's a fire spirit, for example, it goes in the weapon becomes a fiery weapon, and now whenever that weapon deals damage, it deals an additional d6 fire damage as well.
I see.
Eventually turning your summons into a conjured weapon, as it were.
Is that a flat thing, or would that increase on level up eventually?
It probably will. It's essentially the same as the spirit attack is the key thing there. So, But also another big thing is as your classes are developing, if something changes in your class where you go, okay, well now that it's doing this, I wouldn't want this ability. You'll freely be able to change if anything adjusts or changes or doesn't do. So for example, if you're like, hey, I'm expecting this damage to be more, for example, and it never is, we could always just talk about that and change it around. So.
Right.
Same spiritual armor. It can go into the armor, and when it does, it grants that armor +1 to AC and resistance to whatever the spirit's element is. So if it's again a fire spirit, it goes into someone's armor. They now have resistance to fire and an additional +1 AC. Powerful attacks. The spirit can now add your charisma modifier to their damage rolls. Extra attack. When you command your spirit to make a spirit attack, it now makes 2 spirit attacks instead of 1. Hidden Dimension. Okay, so Hidden Dimension, I'm going to reword a little bit. So this originally was a reaction. It's no longer a reaction. So let me tell you what Hidden Dimension does. As an action, if the Invoker is within 5 feet of a creature, or if the spirit is within 5 feet of a creature, and the creature is willing, as an action that you can take, you can have the spirit and that creature be banished away into a hidden dimension. And until the beginning of your next turn, both those are banished. So essentially, this is great if you want to. Okay, do you remember? And I'll tell you exactly what this ability is, because that's the reason why I added this ability, because I thought about this with the Void Spirit. Do you remember in Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Vivian's ability to like grab you and sink you into the... That's effectively what this is.
Okay.
It grabs, sinks into the ground, and then you guys are out of combat until the beginning of your next round.
Oh, damn. Wait, that would be a really great panic button.
Yeah, it's a great way to get someone out of danger, essentially. And that lasts until, not the beginning, but it lasts until the end of your it lasts until the end of your next turn. Which means you can't continuously spam it and just be out of combat forever. It would be like, okay, I do it, and then at the end of your next turn, you guys would come back up.
Right.
So the spirit loses a bunch of actions as well. And then it's essentially is so that there's a round where you can be hidden and a round where you're not hidden anymore. It's specific. Gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of a panic, get the fuck out for a turn because something bad's about
it literally is Vivian. That's a great way to put it.
Yep. Okay, and then everything else is just your styles.
Excellent.
That is your class, and then we know what you're doing for your specialization. You're going demonology, it sounds like.
Oh,
demonologist.
Hell yeah.
So
yep, correct.
Turns your spirit into a big fucking large demon, and it'll be good.
I may or may not be braining on that front.
Nice. Okie dokie. So any questions about your class?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thank you for everyone for your patience as we went over everyone's classes. And now we're going to go over all the new mechanics that affect everyone. So, Tomato, you can come back in the room now.
Yeah. All right, here I come.
I could get back to your pretzel seat. All right. So, got some neat new mechanics that I think you all really enjoy. First off is our respite system. If you guys remember early phase 3 IO, we were doing this for a little bit. And now we're gonna, this kind of replaces short rest a little bit. So every time you complete a battle, you can take a respite. What this means is you can spend and recover one of your hit dice and plus your con modifier and immediately heal up to that. And regain spell points equal to half of the highest level that you can cast. So there is a baked-in system to replenish your resources after each combat, like a little bit each time. This gives you an ability where, like, if you do a combat and don't spend any spells, this is a way to sort of slowly begin replenishing your spell points. This is also a great way to sort of like regain a little bit of your hit points as you go on with that, and that happens after every combat. So. the GM will let you know if you've earned a respite. So you can't be like, I'm going to kill this rat. I step on a rat. Okay. And then grabby hands for respite.
Give me health. Give me health.
Give me. So, yeah. So that's the respite. Next up is rest. So it's no longer called long rest. It's simply called rest. And the way rest works is it's not 8 hours all the time. Now it's Morrowind rules, Elder Scrolls rules, where every hour you spend, you recover one of your hit dice and heal one of your hit dice, and you recover spell points equal to half your highest level. And then you just kind of keep doing that. If you rest for at least 4 hours, you get access, you get the ability to research and craft. And this is the new system that allows you to sort of respec, but also learn some things along the way. So if you do a rest for 4 hours, you can choose to research or craft, essentially. If you choose research, this is where you are going to be able to learn a skill proficiency, a weapon proficiency, an armor proficiency, something that you normally don't have. This also gives you the ability to research spells. So you're no longer limited by the spells known. You can be like, I want to learn a new spell. Well, you will research just to be able to do that. You would research to do that. Some of the techniques that you have research abilities. So going back to opportunity attack, if you take the opportunity attack technique and you're like, I want to improve upon this, you choose one of the features of opportunity attack and you begin to research that during the research phase of your rests. Another big thing is, for example, the magic technique going back to elemental study. There is a feature that allows you to research an additional new element. So once you've learned elemental study, you could spend your research learning knowledge of new elements if you wanted to do that. And yeah, and the reason why we have research now is now intelligence has a mechanic because whenever you research, you roll a d6 and you add your intelligence modifier. Whatever that result is, you store it towards the research of that topic. And once you have enough research points equal to the cost of that feature, you now learn that feature. So, for example, if you wanted to learn a new skill and it cost 15 research points to do that, you would research, you roll a d6, you add your intelligence modifier, and you go, okay, this is the progress that I've made towards that topic. And once you have enough, congratulations, once you have the research points required, you learn the thing. It could be a skill, it could be a weapon proficiency, it could be an armor proficiency. This answers the question of like, hey, I want to learn how to use a longsword. How would I go about doing that? In D&D, there really isn't a thing to do. Now there is. You just research it. You spend your rest researching. Alternatively, and using the same methods, you can craft. You can craft items. When you start a crafting project, you have to expend half of the material cost of the item. And then each item will have an amount of project points that you need to make the item. And just like before, you roll a d6, you add your intelligence modifier, and that's how many project points you make during that crafting, essentially. And as you get like better tools or better abilities, you'll be able to add more d6s to really like shrink that down. For example, there's a general technique called focused research. When making a research check, you treat any 1 or 2 on the research dice as a 3, so that way you can like quickly amplify that. And there are abilities and techniques that can allow you to add more dice to researching and crafting, so that way you can quickly create things all during your rest. Does that make sense to you guys? Does that sound?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Another big thing, the big mechanic that I know some diehard D&D enthusiasts are going to look at me and be like, that sucks. There are areas in the dungeon now that are considered sanctuary areas that you will know are sanctuary areas. What exactly does that mean? This means you can rest in a sanctuary And you do not have to worry about people like coming in or like, oh, you get a jump for an attack or whatever. It is a guaranteed safety location that you can rest at in the middle of like dungeons and explorations and things like that. And this is important because you can rest anywhere you want. You can rest anywhere that you want. The problem is when you rest during a dungeon, the dungeon will begin to regenerate, will begin to recuperate. And there will be GM tools where essentially they will receive like a dungeon resource that they can spend in certain areas where like the enemies may fortify a location and get like more enemies and things like that over in a spot. Or maybe traps will be sort of like set up in areas. And that happens when you are not resting in a sanctuary. So if you want to rest anywhere just because you need resources, the dungeon is going to respond to that, essentially. But if you find a nice safe spot in a sanctuary to rest, you are free to do that. The requirements of resting, by the way, is a ration and a bag of a water skin filled with water. And then a sleeping bag and an area that you can sleep in, whether it be a tent or things like that. You essentially need to set up a camp if you are going to get a satisfied amount of rest. And in sanctuaries, you can easily and capably do that. So,
question.
Yes.
So that the water gun we have, does that basically cover water skin for all of us?
If you do have something that infinitely generates water, yes.
Excellent.
Absolutely. What, you're expecting
a useful item?
Were you expecting me to look at it and be like, what?
I don't know. Like maybe it's like, well, you guys shouldn't be able to share your water skin.
It's a magic item.
Carver's allergic to magic water.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Magic water.
Now, if you've got a magic item that can do the thing that you need to do, fuck, that's great. You can absolutely do that.
I'm really glad we took that water thing.
Yeah, whatever.
The DM is so owned. Holy
dude, I'm not owned. You're owned. I'm not owned. You're owned. You're fucking owned. I'm gonna fucking. You just wait. You fucking wait. You wait. I'm gonna get mine. You get yours. Okay. All right. All right. Let's talk about dying. You know what? I'm getting tired of this. We're gonna talk about dying. All right. You guys ready to talk about death?
Yeah.
God, this is a fucking.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, I'm talking about it anyways. Cover your ears if you don't want to fucking
What the fuck?
Okay. Guys, I have a problem. I know I have a problem. I like to build systems and check it out, and sometimes I think of a new system that I think will be really fucking fun, that I think is better than the system I already put in place. So, in Season 2 of The Devil's Due, the dying mechanics have changed. I know. The respite points.
Thanks God.
Yeah, the life point system is we're taking that away from now. It was fun, and I think it's a great system. But I think this system over here is gonna be pretty fun as well. Okay. All right. Laugh all you want. Just get it all out. Just fucking get it all out. Okay?
the way like the preamble sounds like you're about to try to sell us like a pyramid scheme or something.
Yeah, no.
Guys,
Yeah, it kind of does actually.
guys, listen. You buy dying from me and then
I'm
sell
gonna
it.
unsubscribe from this newsletter.
Okay. So this is how the dying system works. And I'm going to need Crowned especially to shut the fuck up because he's going to jump me when I announce the system. He's going to fucking...
Oh, man. Go on. Why are you nervous?
Okay,
Go on.
here we go. So here's how dying works. When you are reduced to below 0 HP, you now have negative hit points. You are still able to continue fighting while you are at negative hit points. You are now under the dying condition. So there's bloodied, where you're below half your hit points, and then there's dying, where you're at negative hit points. If your negative hit points goes below half of your bloodied value, so let's say you have 30 hit points, your bloodied value is 15, and you go below negative 15, you are dead. Just flat out, period. No death saving throws, no nothing. If you're negative hit points and you still want to keep fighting, by all means, go for it. The Berserker class, I plan on adding mechanics where you do more damaging shit when you are bloodied, and even more damaging shit while you are dying. If you really want to go all in.
He wants Carver dead so bad, guys. He wants me to kill him.
Carver's gonna die.
High risk, high reward. The choice is yours, Brett.
They think I won't make someone even worse if I lose Carver.
If Carver dies, I would be very sad.
The darkness I will release upon this campaign.
I feel that feels like a fun challenge to me. Is all I'm saying. That feels like
I'm able to fucking meet it too.
Man.
I will.
I know, man. I know. So far, I there hasn't been a messed up character of yours I haven't been able to handle. That's not. I'm not puffing my chest. I'm not. I'm just saying.
And there it is. And there it is.
Sounds like he's puffing his chest.
I'm taking you down.
I'm
gonna knock you down a couple pegs.
Sounds like a challenge
This
to me.
DM needs to be humbled.
Oh my! I'm just saying that I am. I can adjust. I can handle it. You know. I just don't hold. You don't have to hold back. Just play who you feel like you need to play, and I'll take it from there. I promise. I promise. Okay. So there is also another little thing that happens when you are first dying. It's called a resolve test. So when your HP is reduced below 0, you go through a resolve test, which requires a wisdom saving throw equal to 10 plus your proficiency bonus. If you succeed, you get a tempered condition. It's essentially a buff. And there's 6 types, and they're all linked to your stats. If you are tempered in a stat, you get a +4 bonus to that stat, and it stays with you until you complete a rest. If you fail the wisdom save, though, you get a doomed condition, which is the same as tempered, except it's a -4 penalty to that stat. And the stat is randomly determined.
Ooh.
You can have any combination of up to 2 combined of tempered and doomed conditions. If you have 2 of these conditions and you die again, if you're dying again, the wisdom save becomes a constitution save. If you succeed, nothing happens. Congratulations. That's the good thing. If you fail, you have a fucking heart attack and die.
Love it.
Okay. Jesus.
Okay, I'm curious.
Yes.
What happened to Rally?
What happened to Rally?
What happened to Rally?
I wanna try this system. I was hearing a little bit of what was it? I think it was Draw Steals kind of does something like this. And the reason why I was like, I kind of like this is specifically because with the rally system, which I do like, it's great. You fall incapacitated, and then on your next turn, you're back up. The survivability of that is really good. What I want to do is keep you fighting and keep you in the game even when you're dying. And because that's the key thing right there. When you drop to 0 hit points, it's gonna get a little intense. It's the fight's gonna get a little harder. But you're still in the game and you can continue to fight and choose and decide at that point in time, do I need to be a little bit more defensive? Do I need to heal myself back up? Or am I gonna stay in the fight and keep going? This system essentially allows you to just keep fucking going, keep fighting. There's never any downtime. there's never any like, there's never a point where it's like, and now your turn's over because your hit point dropped to 0. It's like, okay, it's getting scary, but here it is. So yeah. Does that answer your question?
All right, so I have a second system.
Sure.
To suggest to you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you mentioned heart attacks, and boy howdy, I have a system just for you that also involves heart attacks.
Do you remember when I said, shut up, crowd? Like, I put my finger on your lips before I started.
It's so crazy. So I also have an idea, in case you were interested. In fact, I'll give it to you for free.
I know!
It's a little system. It's called Stress, and it's really cool. It also pertains to when you go unconscious. It's also really neat. And it involves your friends, so it's like a group activity thing.
This guy, this
you get stressed together.
Tell me more.
It's fucking
I'm so glad you asked. I pull out my papers. So it's a system. When you have a system of 10, and every time you get critically hit, you get stress.
Mm-hmm.
And Brett refuses to even take it. And he refuses to even take it.
Why does Brett hate this system so much?
Because he hates me. He hates me, actually. I've been begging him for years, the entirety of our friendship, and he has done nothing but spat on my face the entire time.
Has been pushing his stress system on me. Every time I talk about a system of dying mechanics, crowd's like, well, it's so funny that you asked and mentioned that. I pushes.
I mean, if you're investing, then boy, howdy, do I have an investment for you.
I will keep that in mind. Thank you very much for your consideration.
God damn it. He says that every time.
You hit him with the I'll keep it in mind.
He does it every time.
I mean, it's gone already. It's already out.
It's a great idea. I'm checking my watch. It's a great idea. We'll keep it in mind, man.
It's free. It's free. You don't even have to pay me. It's free. I already made it. I'll give you the JSONs. You can just import it into Foundry. It works for
hang on to your resume
and Pathfinder. It's great.
Listen, I'm gonna talk with the rest of the team, and we'll get back to you. You know, we'll circle around and see what's.
Hit him with the circle around. They're never around.
We'll touch base later.
All right, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I fucking hate this place. I hate this place.
We'll touch base. We'll touch base. It's all good. But in all seriousness, are you guys down to try this dying system? I feel like it's not one-shot territory, but it definitely is like, am I in the negatives? I'm scared kind of territory.
Yeah, I did have that question. So there's two questions. One, you initially said half of your bloodied damage.
Oh, sorry.
So
I don't mean half of your bloodied. I mean your bloodied value in negative.
Okay. And then the other one is, could you hypothetically get one shot? Because, like, say you're in, like, the 1 to 10 HP range. Normally in a fight, you're like, okay, I'm taking a risk. I could go down, but I'm not going to outright die. But now if you're in that territory, you could just straight up die.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, hardcore version 2.
No. Double
hardcore.
No. Now, here's the thing. There is. Well, first of all, if you are at not negative hit points, if you're at a low amount of hit points and you go, you know what, I'm gonna fucking push it. You know, that is the decision and choice that you make. You know that it's like playing an RPG and you're like, I'm the beeping noise is coming out for like, hey, you're at low hit points. You know, it's hurting. It's go beep boop beep boop beep boop. You're like, you know what? I could drink a potion. I could run to the healer. I could go defensive so that we can, before I get back into the game. Or I can fucking push myself and let's fucking go. You know, those are the choices. Those are the choices that you make at the end of it all, you know? So if you're like, I'm gonna go, and then you get crit by the boss for whatever fucking reason, that happens, and that might happen. But that's okay, because even in death, it is not the end. And that's because our final system is the death mark system. So, we are now we're getting to level 5, which means revival is going to be on the table with third level spells. There will be reviving abilities at this point. But revival and IO will always come at a price, as it has in the past and how it has previously. Depending on the god you request life from, they place a death mark on your creature. So it's a thing called death marks. A death mark is a debt owed to the god, whether they wish for you to kill an enemy of their belief system, they want you to craft a specific item, or perform a specialized task. If you honor the death mark, and fulfill it, it's removed, but it kind of leaves a scar on your person, sort of as a sign of your interactions with those gods. But if you can also say, fuck that, fuck the gods, I'm not going to do that. And then you will receive divine punishment at that point in some sort of type that kind of like flushes out the world. So essentially reviving in this game really helps build and adds to the narrative of this. So yeah, that's also a new system called Death Marks. And it could be a god, it could be a demon, it could be whatever you send your praise to essentially ask for the life to come back within that vessel.
That is really cool. Because I was initially thinking that like the change with the like risk of crit, it kind of takes away the ability to be like, okay, I'm at low HP, but I can go in, and then if I go down, someone else can heal me, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But now there's this instead.
Yeah.
And like I'm just imagining a scene where someone like pulls up their sleeve and they're covered in these scars. Like, yeah, I've died like 30 times.
Absolutely.
And you're like, holy shit. Are multiple? Who will be able to revive? Is it like a one type of class specifically, or is like an inherent ability to each person if they want to pray for revival, or like? How does that work?
It will be within some of the elements. So right now, I can see Fey Wonder having a revival spell. And keep in mind, each revival spell has a different method of communication. So originally, if you were like, usually it's like I revive and then it revives and that's all it is. If, for example, let's say I use radiance to revive someone, that's where you begin to plead with the gods to essentially bring life back to this vessel. If you use void to revive, now you're talking with demons and making pacts with them to essentially infuse someone with those kind of things. And sometimes death marks are like techniques built within themselves. So if you're like, yeah, I get a death mark from a demon, like you're like, okay, cool. You kind of have like this like extra shadow claw that comes out of you if that's what you want that death mark to be, If you use a revival spell of Fey Wonder magic, then you are now making pacts with Fays to bring back to life. So it's water is also good for restoration, and has restorative spells within that as well. So you may use water to actually have the elements sort of bring you back to life. And yeah, and the death marks are all different. So a death mark essentially is a like, hey, you have this mark on you, I need you to do this thing. But also a death mark might be like, yeah, I'll bring you back, no problem. And nothing more is asked of you. And the death mark itself kind of takes on the penance. So like you
Wait,
might.
So is it the player who has died is making a petition for their own revival?
No,
or is it a
it
living
is the
player?
person reviving you that is making the petition.
Okay, but the death mark is like agreed upon between the living player and the god, or the dead player and the god?
Oh yeah, you can deny it. You can absolutely deny it. So essentially, yeah. So essentially,
DNR.
yeah.
Yeah, you guys got to remember this. None of this matters to Carver.
Yeah.
Because if you guys bring him back, he has a DNR for a reason.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. So if you are pleading with a god and the person's like, I don't accept that deal that's being revived, well then the deal doesn't happen. Like you still have to consent to the deal, but the deal is pleaded between the spellcaster and the source that they're going through essentially.
Okay.
So we can also, if you guys want, don't take it as a slight or me saying easy mode, but we could have the dying system.
Already upset. The second he said it.
Have it where the negative goes all the way to your full hit points. If you want that extra pillow.
Do you think I'm a pussy?
I'm throwing it out there as an
You
option.
think I'm a pussy that can't play the video game?
Option, you guys. I love how I'm like, hey, what do you guys think about this? But what if we did this? You're like, what? You think I'm a fucking pussy? What's going on, man? What? Say it to my face. Say it to my fucking face.
It's just weird that like we played so much D&D, and you think that I need baby little idiot mode.
Message received.
For some of us, that being just like 10 extra HP, like half a hit.
Yep. Well, I mean, also keep in mind, like, yeah, it's just dangerous. It's just fucking dangerous. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, we'll play it the way it is.
All of us can take it. I speak for all of us when I say.
Class president.
All right, we can take whatever you throw.
Very good.
We'll hose them all down and send them all into the depths, just like we did the last little idiot wyvern. You said, okay, we'll win.
I really just need to get my street cred back, guys. I really just need to get my DM cred back on this campaign, dude. I just need it, dude. All right. That is everything. That's everything I have for you guys. As far as new shit, your classes changes, new mechanics, all sorts of stuff. How we feeling? How we vibing? You guys excited? You ready to fucking do this?
Yeah.
Any questions from any of you?
Oh,
okay.
No.
I'm sure I will eventually.
You guys are obviously free to DM me. Otherwise, next Friday, are we good for session 1 of season 2?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now,
I'm so excited.
the question remains: will you be advancing through the dungeon? Or would you like to revisit somewhere else and see just what the heck is going on there?
no, I think we move on.
Yeah, we so
For now, let's
recently
move
already
on.
backtracked.
Okay.
We backtracked like the session
backtrack.
before the finale. So
Yeah.
we already did some.
Okay. Sounds good. I like it. By progressing on, if you ever do decide to revisit the mines, there will be some fun little transformations. If you revisit the ruins, fun little transformations. And if you visit the sort of like the first area, fun little transformations. We'll do all that. But it looks like next session, I mean, obviously you're gonna go back. It's gonna be some town shenanigans, I'd imagine. But yeah, next up you'll be progressing. If you see the map over here on the stream, north of the area, sort of this like these crystalline areas, the caverns descend deeper into the darkness. So yeah, should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
All right. Then in that case, I will see you all next week. Fucking 5 p.m. EST Friday. Sound good?
Badass. See you then.
All right. Bye, guys.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.